Okay, aloha mai kako.
Aloha.
Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to some of you who are on the Zoom. I'm Winona Lee. I'm the Regional Director for the Western Region of the National Association of Medical Minority Educators, and I'd like to welcome you to our first live webinar, Spring 2018, Candid Conversations to Cultivate Student and Faculty Wellness. Before I start, I did want to talk a little bit about our organization. I know some of you logged in are not currently members, and we would love you to join our organization. Since 1975, NAMME has actually been a leader in dedicating faculty to ensuring diversity of all the health professions. NAMME also provides critical guidance and opportunities for networking. I think myself, I found it as a way to step into a leadership position that I didn't feel I was really qualified for, but with the mentoring and guidance of people like Dr. Alexander, I was supported and able to do so. We are having a national conference September 19th through 23 in Miami, Florida, so I hope that you will be able to join us. And I'm really happy that you joined our Western Region meeting today. We have 3 outstanding presenters that will be talking with us. Each will leadership for innovative programs designed for nearly 6,000 undergraduates from diverse populations. He is originally from Syracuse, New York, received his BA in sociology from the State University of New York at Portland, a master's in sociology from the University of Nebraska at Omaha, and a doctorate in education from Marquette University. A past president of NAMME, Dr. Alexander is a recipient of UCSF's Martin Luther King Jr. Award for his leadership and inspiration in advancing social and economic justice goals, and has also been honored by the California Wellness Foundation with the Champion of Health Profession Diversity. We have a Hawaiian saying, Lana Kako i Kapaholi o Ha'i, which means we rise by uplifting others. I truly believe that Dr. Alexander has committed his professional life's work to uplifting others, including junior faculty like myself, and I am honored to have him as our first speaker this morning, Dr. Charles Alexander.
I want to again say thank you for allowing me to be a part of this webinar. And I know the topic today is talking about cultivating student and faculty wellness, and it's something that I have a very strong passion about, particularly in the work that I am doing here at UCLA. There we go. So I agreed to talk about this from the perspective of what we are doing here in this program that I oversee called the Academic Advancement Program. It's a program that works with about 5,000, 6,000 undergraduates who actually are from low-income first generation or historically underrepresented groups. We have about a staff of 28 professional people, and we hire about 200 students. The students really help us with the work that we do, and we just could not do it all without their support. So given that, this brief backdrop, as you can imagine, with 28 full-time staff people, which about 8 to 10 of them are academic counselors, we are pretty much inundated with students on a daily basis who have unique needs, particular needs, both academic and personal. And we work with them through various offices here at UCLA. So one of the things that I really stress among my staff is this whole sense of wellness, particularly we call it fit well. You know, not only are you going to be well mentally, but physically, we try to offer opportunities for that. So as a result of working with my staff, we created a staff advisory committee that really focuses on how to work with staff to become not only mentally fit for the environment and mentally prepared for the students that we work with, but also trying to develop them, excuse me, professionally, so that they're good at what they do or they're experts at what they do, but they have a sense of peace and well-being at doing it. And so through that, we make sure that every quarter we take one day and we actually do something to expand our horizons, either through a field trip, which we really focus in on social justice issues. So those field trips take us to various communities to learn about the communities in which our students come from. We also have this program called Fitwell, which staff are able to join here at the university, which they can learn how to take care of themselves, both from a nutritional standpoint and from a physical standpoint. And so these classes are offered at early morning. Sometimes they're 6:30 in the morning, noontime, and also during the afternoon after work. So it kind of fits into everyone's schedule. The other thing that we try to do, and I always emphasize this to my staff, I call them mental health days. And I call them mental health days because they do get stressed out. We do have long days, long hours, and sometimes our days stretch into the evening. And sometimes you can go weeks and sometimes even a Saturday. Like this is the time of year where it's yield year, it's yield time. We have a lot of new students visiting our campus. We have two big events that we put on Saturdays, and so sometimes staff have to work 6 or sometimes 7 days a week. And so I always stress the mental health days that everyone's obligated and should take a mental health day when they're not feeling to at their optimal level to perform at work. And I think they've all gotten to know me in that way. So sort of like a mantra around here, Dr. A said I can take a mental health day. But but my purpose for doing that is because I don't believe people can fully function if they're stressed out, tired, and they're not able to focus on doing the work that they do. And then one of the last things that I'll speak to is the whole notion of we have a policy here that if you have a meeting that extends beyond 90 minutes, at the 90-minute mark, someone will come in from our Fitwell program and do what we call an instant recess, where we actually do movement, human movements. We do movements of arms, hands. We might even do a slight dance. Who knows? But the whole ideal is to break up the monotony sometimes of the meeting, but also to get you moving so you're not sitting all day or sitting in a 2-hour meeting without any kind of movement. And so that has been a really new thing, but it's also been a very popular thing, not just among my staff, but it's a university-wide kind of mandate. So if someone schedule a meeting that takes you, say it's a 2-hour meeting, you can bet that someone's going to come in on that hour or that hour and a half to do a Fitwell or a new movement exercise or instant reset exercise with them to get them moving. And it's not very long. Sometimes it's 3 to 5 minutes at the very, very most. And then we are back to our meetings again. So again, students, faculty, I mean, we're all tuned into this, what we call Fitwell. And the ideal and concept behind Fitwell is, fit body, fit mind, helps us become more productive and also creates a much more cordial, pleasant work environment because we are here, more than 40 hours a week sometimes. And so to make work somehow a pleasant environment instead of one in which you have to come in and labor most of the day is what we try to strive for. Do I take questions or are we kind of like doing
If anybody has any questions, you can unmute your device and ask the question, and please put it back on mute when you're done. Thank you.
I'll ask a question, Kim. University of Hawaii, I have a question. The program that you and the services you're providing to your staff sound really amazing. How did you fund or get institutional support to do these types of programs for your faculty and staff?
Did you say how do we fund?
Yes.
The university, I have to give it credit to the University of California. I think they tie fitness and wellness into work productivity. And so this has been an investment that the campus has made and the university has made to ensure that people are healthy and well to perform and come to work. So it really costs us nothing. I mean, we really benefit from that overall general fund. The things that we do internally, many of those things just cost very little. I mean, sometimes it's just a bus that we rent to take people to a community to visit a community center. Usually when we're there, we cover lunch for, you know, all the staff, and not just our staff, but the staff that host us at those centers. And I budget for it, and I actually, you know, I'm kind of the mindset of wellness and health. And so when I came here, um, that was one of the things that I put money aside for in terms of helping people be more productive, both from a professional standpoint. So I give up to $500 to each employee every year to do any kind of professional development they choose to do. I also support conference and presentations. I mean, if you go to a conference where you're expected to present, you just don't go and be a participant unless there's something there that we're trying to learn from and bring back. But it really costs us very little to do. And a lot of the staff advisory ideals, when they come out, for example, um, they usually come out with very minimal costs that the ideals that they have. And so that's pretty much how we go about supporting it.
Can I ask one more question? Does this also extend to students? Do you have these types of quarterly meetings, or is there a mix of student and faculty together doing these things?
We do actually. We have a faculty advisory committee. We have faculty that are part of our peer learning program. Our students, like I mentioned, we have 200 students, so they're invited to participate in all of our activities. As you can imagine, some of our activities are during a break, so you know, students are not very much around. But we do also certain things with students. We do some quarterly activities, whether they are mixers, because with that many students, they see each other, but they don't really know each other, and they always pass each other in the hallways. And so that was a recommendation that our student advisory committee came up with, is that we should have 2 mixers a year, one as an intro, so people can get to know each other, and one at the end to kind of celebrate, you know, a long year, academic year of work. And so they're involved in that, and they're also involved in making recommendations and suggestions on some of the activities that we sponsor as well.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is Charles Collier in Connecticut. How you doing, Doc?
Hi, Charles. How you doing? Great.
Good. Question I have is, how do you coordinate the communication between your FitWell folk who, for the lack of a better word, interrupt the meeting to get you guys up and moving? Is there a universal calendar? Could you talk about that process a little bit more?
Sure. Usually with a meeting, you have to schedule a room, and there is a form or sheet that you fill out, and on that form, it asks you about, would you like a FitWell break? So, you know, you get the room, you have the room from 10 to 12, whatever. And again, if it's a meeting that's going to last longer than 90 minutes, you are really required to have that FitWell break. And so it's part of the process of reserving the room and scheduling the meeting.
Thank you.
And so to take it further, I'm sorry, when you do that, of course, they're notified, and then they schedule it on their end to meet with you when you have your meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Are there any other questions? Are there any other questions?
Thank you, Dr. Alexander.
Okay, thank you all. And of course, if there are questions later, you can always email me, and I'm sure you'll get that information at some point.
Okay. I- everybody. I'm Kim Yamauchi, and I have the honor of introducing our next speaker, Dr. Marina Piskolec, who has and continues to support me in my own professional development. I'm very grateful, very lucky. Dr. Piskolec received her PhD in education at the University of Pittsburgh and has worked with a number of universities over the years, including the University of Hawaii's Spark M. Matsunaga Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution. She's a founder and owner of Mapping Change, LLC, where she provides training in collaborative skills, facilitation, and change management support. Dr. Piskolec's specialty is in change and conflict mediation. She is a trainer, an executive coach, and has worked with culturally rich groups and provided support to organizations with high conflict situations. She has worked in education and education reform with diverse groups such as Native Hawaiians, Pacific Islanders, and recently she was working in California with Native American tribes. So it is my honor to welcome Dr. Marina Piskolec. Thank you.
What can you see? Hello, everyone.
Wow.
After singing, I thought it would be good to sit down, but we'll find out whether my brain works when we're sits.
We'll do our football intervention.
Right here. Well, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you, Minnie, and the staff of NACOE to invite me here. I have had the pleasure of working with these folks for a long time, so it's great to be joined with so many others from so many places. I'm reminded of the day I got my PhD and I went to walk to receive my diploma, and my family joined me. And my niece, who was about 4 at the time, got very excited about something important was happening. She looked at my sister and somebody said to her, Aunt Marina is a doctor now. And my niece said, can we go to her? And my sister turned and said, no, she's not that kind of doctor. She can't really do anything. So here I am, look at me, years later, sitting here with a bunch of doctors who can do things. That's a fabulous thing. And educate. But this is that intersection of education and medicine. And so I think I may have something that could be useful, contrary to my sister's assertion that I can't do anything. And that is to raise with you, in the context of this discussion of wellness, a very sticky subject. And that sticky subject is conflict. I'm hoping by the end of this talk that you don't feel the same way about the word sticky anymore, because I think mostly when we think of sticky subjects, it's not a good thing. But I like to suggest that with the right skills and the right mindset, sticky subjects are great things to pursue and great conversations to have. And the skills for dealing with conflict make all of that possible. I posit a notion that it's not really possible to be well without being conflict capable. If you are physically well, emotionally well, and mentally well, but limited in your capacity for managing conflict, you cannot sustain that wellness for long. Most of you know through the work that you do that one of the greatest impediments to wellness is stress. And I think for most of us in our own personal lives, we know that one of the places that stress eats away at us is in the way we handle conflict or don't handle conflict, how big it is, how long it lasts, and how it impacts us and others. And so I'd like to marry your notion of wellness to the notion of your capacity to be responsive and responsible in handling conflict. For many of us, this is not something that comes high on our list of things to get better at. It's just one of the things we try to endure and minimize in our lives. And so I'd like to suggest that really there's a wealth of opportunity on the other side of avoiding conflict. I don't know if you're familiar with the Goldilocks fairy tale, but I'd like to do a quick assessment on your skills for conflict or your style of conflict. Would you say that when it comes to conflict, you're too hard, you're too soft, or you're just right? For most of us, we'd sort of answer that in one way or another. We tend to have a pattern of how we are in conflict, born from a life of practice at doing that. And for many of us, we're not happy with our answer. We're either too hard, or we're too soft, or we're schizophrenic. We're too soft a lot of the time, then we get crazy in a moment. Or we're too hard, and we have to go around and clean up the mess we've made. So for a lot of us, it's kind of a part of our personality that feels a bit out of control from our ability to tame it and manage it in ways that are in keeping with who we need to be. I'd like to define conflict capable, the term I offered up as a condition of wellness, as being made up of 3 components. One is conflict skills. There are skills that make dealing with conflict more effective. Those you may have heard of, you may have taken some classes in it. Those are listening skills, those are skills of assertive speech. Those are some analytical skills to understand what's really underlying the conflict for you and for others so that you see options for how to resolve it. There's skills for de-escalating emotion. There's a handful of skills. They are not rocket science. You can learn them and you can spend a lifetime perfecting them. The further away the conflict is from you, the better your skills will be. The closer the conflict comes to you and the more personal that conflict, even knowing these skills, you will struggle to hold on to them and to bring them to bear in that moment. And so, like wellness, it's not something you achieve once and you have it forever. It's a discipline, it's a practice, it's a commitment. But there are skills you can learn, and if you're trying to manage conflict without ever having been exposed to the skills, it might explain why it doesn't go very well. Because there is a set of techniques and technologies that we now have that are learnable and can be incorporated. I will not be able, in these few minutes, to give you conflict skills today, but I can perhaps point you to the second aspect of conflict capable, another conflict mindset. I don't mean a mindset sort of where you're prone to conflict. I mean a mindset where you are capable of managing conflict. And we'll talk a bit more about that next. But the third component of conflict capable then is conflict coherence. So I'm talking about conflict skills, conflict mindset, and conflict coherence. Conflict coherence speaks to whether or not who you are in conflict is who you need to be more generally in your life. Chances are you have a sense of your own identity, you have a sense of the way you're supposed to be, you have certain ways of thinking about yourself that are defined by groups you belong to, the ways you identify culturally, spiritually, professionally. Those identities shape your notion of who you are and how you're supposed to be. Conflict coherence asks you, are you that same person you need to be in moments of conflict? And if you're not, how might you close that gap so that you become the person you always mean to be, your higher self, your better self, without giving yourself a pass for moments of conflict, which is a lot of what we do. So let me talk a little bit about conflict mindset. Conflict mindset is really the place to begin this journey because unfortunately our minds have played a bit of a trick on us. We learned to deal with conflict at a time in our life when we were in our home, in our schools, in our churches, in our communities, and we were small. We didn't have a lot of power. And so we learn about conflict from a power down position. It's one of the reasons it provokes such anxiety in us, because we came to this experience at a time where we were not capable, skilled, or it had parity in power to negotiate our needs. And so early on, our experiences of conflict was something to be avoided, to be managed, to be survived. That's taken a toll on us. Second dilemma is that our brain scans the universe for things that bring us danger. And it holds on to them and remembers them. It elevates them in our memory of how big they were, or because it's protecting us. It's preparing us so that we know when we're in a situation that deserves and demands fight or flight responses. Because of that, we have a warped notion of what conflict is in our life. Because chances are your life has been defined by a series of conflicts, end upon end. Many of them navigated beautifully, many of them resolved to your greater betterment. Unfortunately, when it happens that way, we don't remember it as conflict. We remember it as an issue we had to solve, or a problem that we had. or a time of change, but we don't remember it as conflict. It was conflict when we were living it, but we don't remember it as conflict when it's over. The conflicts we remember are the ones that don't go well, the ones that we feel hurt by, the ones that we create some destruction around. Unfortunately, because that's what our brain holds on to as a notion of conflict, we have a lopsided and biased notion of conflict, which creates a neural network that causes us to constantly drive back to a fight or flight response to something that we would be much better served by having a more expansive notion of what's happening here and what are my choices to make right action. If you go into that panicked place, you start to spool in your head. You're limited in the choices for how you think about what you're doing or the options for navigating. And so this conflict mindset is to alter that history of habitual reflection of conflict as a bad thing. In conflict skills training classes, often they start with asking people to dump out what's in their head in a word association with conflict. And almost always, it's a long list of bad things. That explains the neurological, physiological reaction to a moment where we think we're in the face of conflict. It brings up the fight or flight response. If we're going to have access to a broader range of our skill sets, we're going to have to manage that moment where we first trigger the fight or flight. And one of the ways we can do that is to substitute the notion that conflict is bad for the idea that conflict is not bad, conflict just is. It is not bad or good, it is inevitable, it is natural, it is a necessary part of life. It is often the thing that moves us through life and moves change through our world. So what could we think of instead of, oh, this is going to be terrible, or oh, I'm getting tight as this is happening? That's to substitute a new thought, and it's kind of a Pollyanna thought, but I find it very helpful. And that is that conflict is an opportunity for positive change. That is an apt description. Conflict creates a space, a gap between what is and what might come next. And in that space, if you're conscious, if you make wise choices, you can turn a moment of conflict into a benefit that the conflict itself was a necessary and good thing, that it created the space and the time for change to occur, for reflection to happen, for new choices to be made. And so the notion that conflict is an opportunity for positive change is something of a mantra that I try to teach people, because if the first thing you think of when you have the experience of conflict, which mostly shows up in our body, our palms sweat, our breathing becomes shallow, our stomach gets tight, if the moment that happens, instead of reacting like you have always reacted, you pause a minute and say, oh, what did Marina say? Conflict is an opportunity for positive change. With that thought, space opens up for you to not react, but choose to act. And let me define what I mean by act. This goes back to the skills, which we won't go into today, but give you some insight into what those skills involve. In this case, we might say that act in response to conflict is first, A, become aware of what's happening in you, aware of what's happening for others, aware of what's happening in the scene. How does this moment sit in a bigger context? So awareness really helps. The second one is choice. Become aware of the choices that you have to advance your goals, to recognize the goals and needs of others. So first become aware, then examine your choices. And the third, T, transform the situation from the experience of conflict to that win-win outcome that might be possible if you put some conscious effort into it. That can't happen unless you fight the flight or fight response that you have been habituated to bring to bear in a moment of conflict. So with that new mindset, conflict is an opportunity for positive change. It's possible for you to realize that in this moment, you want to act in response to the conflict, not react. You want to become aware, you want to sense the choices, and you want to choose the transformative outcome. With the conflict mindset, that pause, that it's really about becoming mindful about conflict. And we know, medical profession kind of led the way to mindfulness out of sort of circles of spirituality into a recognition of how essential mindfulness is to healthy life. And really, conflict resolution is all about becoming more intentionally mindful about responding to conflict, creating space before you act. So let me then suggest that if you're able to develop a mindset, and I was reminded when I first arrived in Hawaii how much the metaphors that are available all around us here in Hawaii are so perfect for conflict. So I think about a wave. When I was learning to take waves, your intuition is to run away. It's to go in the opposite direction from the wave. Anyone who's tried that knows that doesn't work. The wave will grab you, take you down, pull you back. You'll get up, you'll sputter, you'll start to move away again. It'll come and get you again. The counterintuitive motion in response to a large wave coming that you're not sure you can take is to move in its direction and then to dive deep. And that's exactly what a conflict mindset sets you up to do, to move in the direction of the conflict, become curious about the conflict, and knowing the way to survive it is to dive deep. Deep inside yourself about what's going on, deep in conversation with others about what they need and what the solution might look like. That's the way to survive large conflicts. But it's counterintuitive, and so it takes kind of a new belief about conflict in order for you to experience the possibility that comes on the other side of that belief, where you bring new skills to bear. And so, is that safe? I can't actually see it, it's too light.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, over at 15? Okay, so let me just sort of wrap up by talking a bit about conflict coherence. You might say, I've been living this way for a long time, I do what I do. But I would like to ask, is who you are in conflict who you need to be? Is it your better self? Is it how you think of yourself? This is what I've noticed in years of working. People think of themselves one way, and then they behave another in conflict. And somehow they give themselves a perpetual pass. Well, that wasn't really me. I was very upset. I'm sorry, I didn't respond correctly. I was tired. It was complicated. You approached me the wrong way. You said the wrong thing. All of these excuses we make for who we behave like in conflict, it's not in keeping with our identity. So when I think about my own identity, I'm a woman, and there are thoughts I have about how women respond to conflict. I'm a second generation immigrant. I have thoughts about what I was taught about how my people handle conflict. I'm a professional. I have thoughts about how a professional handles conflict. I'm a spiritual being. I have thoughts about who that spirit being is in conflict. My question to you, inside of all those scaffolded identities that probably you have as well, who is it you mean to be, and who is it you allow yourself to be in moments of conflict? And if who you are in conflict is not in keeping with who you are, I suggest you might challenge yourself to close that gap. And when you do, you will have greater assurance of lifelong wellness. Become conflict capable. You can do it. Just because you haven't doesn't mean you can't. Thank you.
If anybody has questions, please unmute your device and ask your question, and then put it back on mute. Thank you.
That means I explained everything.
I have a question. Hi, it's Vanessa from University of Hawaii, and thank you, Marina. You teach me every time I interact with you. So you can tell your sister that you definitely talk to doctor help. So my question was, if we're ourselves maybe trying to practice developing that conflict mindset, but maybe the person that you're interacting with isn't practicing that, I guess it's up to you. I mean, you're the one creating that space for the opportunities to happen. What happens on the other side with the person that's maybe you're having the conflict with?
Well, that's a great question, and here's the good news. You can shape a reality by your own energy. You can shape what happens with the other by the way you behave. You know that you can shape what happens by behaving badly, right? So I would say you can affect the situation just as much by behaving well. a couple of things happen. Nobody wants to think that you're more reasonable than they are. Everybody likes to think they're reasonable. When you're behaving reasonably in response to conflict, it sets a standard for others to sort of emulate. There's a mimicking going on. So if you're remaining calm, they'll have an inclination to remain calm. If you're seeming interested in what's going on for them, they may reciprocate and show that kind of interest. That's one thing to know, is that you can influence others' behaviors. The second thing is, with conflict skills, you'll know when it is and is not the right time. You'll know whether the conditions exist for a useful exchange in that moment. It doesn't just happen in any moment, under any circumstances. It happens under the right moment, under the right circumstances. But with conflict skills, when you choose to act rather than react, you don't have the conversation before it's time. You prepare yourself for it. You create the scene or the situation that would be most agreeable in terms of whether there's privacy, whether there's adequate time, whether the person is distracted or available to really be with you in this discussion, and you have it then. So you set up the conditions for success before you have it, and that's one of the things that conflict skills will give you insight. I'll drop two quick bits of knowledge. It's useful to know whether or not you have the conditions for a collaborative win-win effort. And I can tell you there are two conditions in which it isn't appropriate. You shouldn't bother to try. And so before you go down that road, it's good to look and say, are either of these conditions at work here? Because if they are at work here, you may need to think of other strategies for resolving your needs besides the collaborative approach. And those two conditions in which collaboration is not likely to succeed. One is when the other party doesn't want the problem to be solved. Sometimes people have an investment in the conflict. They have an identity attached to the conflict. They get value from the conflict. If you see that as a circumstance that you're dealing with, motivating them to resolve with you can be quite challenging, and you should know what you're up against. The second thing is when, and this usually happens more in intractable conflict that people let go on for a long time, is when the other parties can't experience a win for themselves unless it includes a loss for you. If they have invested in the notion that I will not have won until they have been destroyed, until they have been shamed, until they have not gotten what they wanted, you do not have the conditions for collaboration, because if you collaborate, you will be working for their success and yours. But if their commitment is to your destruction, you do not have the conditions. I don't necessarily mean your whole destruction, but I mean on the issue at hand. So sometimes it's very useful, and that again comes with conflict skills, to sort of be aware. Is this the right time and the right place? And do the conditions exist for success and a collaborative effort? Eliminating those two possibilities, which are not appropriate for collaboration, then you can see that the path is clear and it's worth the effort to be collaborative.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other questions? Dr. Lee?
So I have one more question. I'm not sure if you're able to answer this, but I know you're discussing what I think about as one-on-one conflict with an individual or a party. How about, how would you address, or how do these skills translate to something that's larger, like institutional racism, discrimination? Because I do think that constant stress does affect your wellness.
Great question. I guess the first thing I'd say is all of the analytical skills, all of the thinking skills that come with conflict skills apply in all contexts. So it can be, first I'd like to acknowledge that while I was speaking, and maybe the example that I was drawing on had to do with interpersonal conflict, the first place conflict resolution skills have to begin is intrapersonally. You have to get right within yourself about what's going on for you, or at least attempt it. You have to at least look inside and say, what's this about for me? Why am I reacting the way I'm reacting? What is it I need from this situation, and why am I feeling threatened that it's not going to happen? You have to come to the conversations having done some preparation. Sometimes the conflict is all inside you. You have two choices to make. That's a conflict. You're of two minds. That's a conflict. So these skills can be useful in working out issues within yourself. They can be useful in preparing yourself to deal with issues with others. They can be useful in dealing with others, but they can also be useful in thinking about the larger context. You give me a great opportunity to mention that the first time I realized I needed to develop these skills was because I was a classroom teacher and I was committed to working with the kids least prepared to do well. I don't know why, but the ones I like. I came up with an idea to do something that would support them, and I went and spoke to administration about it. Administration responded, "You can't do that." I was naive enough to think that I was not capable. I surveyed my needs and went, yes, I can. He continued to repeat to me that I couldn't do that. On the third time, I'm saying, I don't know what you mean, I can't do it. He said, you can't do it if you, I said, why? And he said, because if you do, we've never done that, which still made no sense to me. And then he said, if you do something we've never done, other people will do things we've never done. That was the craziest answer I'd ever heard. I walked out that door sensing that he thought the conversation was over. I was pretty sure it wasn't, because I was not happy with that answer. But as I walked down the hall from his office that day, I thought, you know, it was a little Scarlett O'Hara. As God is my witness, I will never be in this situation again. Because if I came to this work committed to working with those who are least well represented, least resourced, with least voice and the least power in a system, what made me think I could work on their behalf without running into conflict? Because everything I'm about is challenging the system from its status quo to what it could be. So I had better get some skills for challenging the status quo, for challenging institutional norms, for challenging mindsets. And so these very skills really, for me, came about recognizing that I didn't think teachers were being treated as they needed to be the educators they should be. And I didn't think schools were designed for the kind of experiences kids needed to grow up and be active, engaged, and meaningfully useful citizens. That's where my journey around this work started. It's just taken me everywhere, but really its root is institutional bias, institutional limitations, and the lack of imagination that we see around us. Organizations and things stay in place because it's easier. It takes people who care enough to challenge that, to make it different. And I know, given who your organization is and what you do, that is your wheelhouse. That is where you live. Those are the people you serve. And there is the issue of those you serve, these minority medical educators that you're taking care of, but you live inside a system. You are a system inside a system. My guess is you all find a certain amount of hospitality and inhospitality to the ways you need to work, to the things that you consider important. Your job is to be bold and brave enough to confront those limitations where they need to be challenged and overcome. And so I say to you, when I say conflict coherence, I can't be the leader I need to be if I can't confront conflict in constructive ways. I can't be the parent I need to be if I can't confront conflict in constructive ways. I can't be the partner. All of these things come to that issue of conflict coherence. And I think that people have for too long not known what the skills look like, not known how to become different than they are, because they have given themselves permission to behave badly, almost in no other circumstance in their life, but for that moment where they feel overcome with conflict. And I'm going to say, you can do that. Thank you so much for this chance.
Wow, I think we could have like a whole hour of Marina and just go on about conflict resolution, but I do have the great pleasure and honor of introducing our next speaker, Dr. David Singh. And he is a tenured faculty emeritus from the University of Hawaii Hilo. He received his Bachelor of Arts in Asian Studies from the University of Hawaii Manoa, and a Master of Arts and Doctor of Philosophy in Education from Claremont Graduate University in California. His work at University of Hawaii Hilo spanned 35 years plus, and in the 1980s, he was one of a team of educators who gave rise to the Hawaiian Leadership Development Program that eventually evolved into the Kipuka Native Hawaiian Student Center, which continues to service the students at the University of Hawaii Hilo today. He also founded a kindergarten through 12th grade support service program called Napua Noeau, which is a center for gifted and talented Native Hawaiian children. This program spanned over the 6 of 8 Hawaiian islands and has reached over 16,000 students since its upstart in 1989. This program bridged Native Hawaiian perspective, culture, history, language and values with Western education principles, and supported the basic educational foundations that helped many of his students to become prominent leaders, educators, administrators, and professionals within the state of Hawaii. His models have been used throughout Hawaii as well as the United States and internationally, and he sits on several since his retirement, continues to sit on several advisory council and support student and community programs throughout Hawaii, as well as our Native Hawaiian Center of Excellence. In his retirement, he is also the managing director for his company, Educational Prism Consultants, which serves educational leaders at schools, universities, and educational centers, specializing in Native Hawaiian students in education. Among his many other accolades include an award for Native Hawaiian education, as well as the National Indian Education Association Educator of the Year Award in 2008. I'm honored to present to you our very beloved Dr. David Singh.
Oh my goodness. Spend some time looking at you folks because it's kind of hard. But for you folks on the continent, it's too bad you can't be here with us. It would be a nice venue to have all of you. But anyway, I had a nice journey from Hilo this morning. And I usually don't get up this early in the morning, at 4:30 to catch a flight, and then to come here and then face a little bit of the traffic. But it's all about the journey, man. And met some wonderful people along the way. I wanted to thank Winnie and her crew, Kim, Sachi, Malia, and Vanessa, not only for the hospitality, the invitation, but for the work that you do. I think part of the things I'm going to talk about this morning really reflects how you folks do things and the way that you build that sense of community that really fosters not only the team spirit, but achievement and aspirations for the students that you serve. So, I wanted to ask Malia if you, Winnie, if you can ask me the same question you asked Marina.
Okay.
Because I'm going to have a similar response to Marina, but it's going to be a really different picture. Can you ask the question?
Oh, right now or
Yes,
later?
now.
Oh, okay. If it is a similar question, what I asked Marina was how did what she was speaking of, the conflict mindset, apply to the larger challenges that we face, such as institutional racism, discrimination, things that seem larger than we are.
So, one of the things I wanted to talk about today was the notion of ho'i kapiko. Ho'i means to come, to return. And the piko is your center, who you are, the essence of where you come from, those that have come from before you, your kupuna, your family. Your piko also extends to the people around you, those that you're affiliated with, your family, the people you work with, your associates. And then it also refers to your legacy. So piko is what defines you. And I really like, and the reason I like Marina's talk is because it really, we think alike, and we just have a different view of how we approach the nature of the health of our being and the health of our person, and how we go about assuring that we are who we are. And the reason I use ho'i kapiko is, so I'll give you an example. About 20 years ago, I was sitting in the dean's office, doing some of the work at the University of Hawaii. And one of the students acknowledged me, and he worked in the office, and he said, "Oh, hi, David." And I just kind of stopped for a while, and then because over the previous 10 years before that, we had worked something in the university in which we integrated some of our local culture that acknowledge the respect between generations. So our students don't call you by your first name, even though the rest of the faculty that are originally from the mainland, they really solicit that. But the local people like myself, I'm like, whoa, that's not how we were brought up. That's not how we do things. So I kind of was taken aback, and so I went to the secretary. Well, when she came over and I talked to her, I said, okay, can you talk to all the student help that are here? They can call me either Dr. Singh or Uncle David, but they cannot call me David. She looks at me and she goes, thank you, David. Because everybody in the office, other than myself, were just kind of accepting that. And so the whole idea of Ho'ikapiko is that, you know, we grew up, well, I grew up before you folks, but I grew up at a time when our parents told us, you know, leave your culture at home. You know, whatever, however you act, you have to assimilate. Well, they didn't use those words, right? You have to go and learn how they teach you in a school. And so you cannot talk, and you cannot behave the way you do at home. Well, when you go to school, you put your hands in your pocket and say, okay, I cannot talk the way I do at home. I cannot act the way I did at home. Then what do I do? Well, the nature of who we are is lost in that. So when we give up who we are when we go to school, no wonder the failure of Native Hawaiians back in the 70s and 80s is not so much that they couldn't perform it, they couldn't do it. They couldn't take who they were to school to be able to be who they were. And the whole idea of being able to know who you are. And later on, when I went to college and did my research, sure enough, the students that came from those families that were really culturally embedded in their community did worse in school. In fact, they were being assessed to be special ed students. And so what we did at that, what I did in developing my work and my early research was say, well, what if we say that, hey, the Hawaiians are all right, and why don't we try to start to change the system and the educational practices that we do? So what are the kinds of conditions that we can set up in a classroom, in an educational program that would align itself to the kinds of cultural practices and behaviors and culture that those students come from? And sure enough, the research showed with the college students I originally piloted that given those conditions and given that's the kind of background they came from, their attitudes changed about learning, about education, about the school they were attending, and they ended up doing better than the other group of students that did not have those conditions. And they went on to do even better in terms of retention and matriculating successfully. And my follow-up studies from there and through Napuno'ea with students having those same conditions ended up having a greater success in terms of retention and success in matriculation. Now I say that while we're talking about staff and faculty wellness, if you're a faculty and staff and you're working in this kind of environment and you're seeing that, well, you also have to develop that for your organization too. So what we ended up doing is, well, this doesn't also, this shouldn't just happen for the students. because the faculty that were coming, that were local, coming to the university, while they were coming into the university, they were having difficulty staying with the university because the climate of the university was not conducive to who they were. And so with that, we decided to, okay, let's create that climate within our organization, within our staff. Identify the kinds of values that that are our foundational values within Hawaii. And start to define how you would apply those values. So take a value like aloha. Okay, so how do you, the aloha refers to the sense of affiliation, the sense of warmth and the sharing of yourself, not so much as an acquaintance, but more as a family, and building that sense of affiliation between your staff and among your staff, and their interaction with the students, and their interaction with the families, and define that and develop that so that your organization now becomes a delivery of those values, those cultural values, that is connected to those families you serve and the people that are part of your staff. Ohana, making sure that you do all of those things that again, pilina, the relationships between your family. So one of the big things we did when we started is food is important. And so we started to make sure we always had food. Well, of course, after a while, as I said, we're going to cut back on food because we're all getting momona. We're always all putting on weight. So what we did, because we were a collaborative team, we developed a health and wellness piece in which every staff had to do a health and wellness portfolio. And they had to develop a way that they would stay healthy and well. And as a team, we would support that. And one of the things I did early on was say, in terms of ohana, if anybody had any kind of things that they had to do with their family, you do it. And we will handle that. We will come with it. We don't care about the vacation and the forms you have to fill out. You need to take care of stuff for your family. You do it. Now, what's the result of having that kind of support from your leadership to be able to pick up your child or bring your child in actually for a few hours because you can't find a babysitter? Boy, the amount of dedication and support and the sense of being who they are, feeling like, hey, this is part of who we are. Our culture being supported in this environment. One of the funny things I remember, most of you know Marcus Mariota, and Marcus is an NFL football player from Hawaii. Went to St. Louis High School, but he went to Maya. I didn't want to forget that. When he went to our local school, and then he went to the University of Oregon, and as a top college player, received the Heisman Trophy. And then he was selected, the second place selected in NFL draft. So he's a rising star. So when he was playing, the broadcasters would say, wow, Marcus, when they interviewed him, he says, he's so humble, he's so respectful, and he has this leadership ability, and it's so unique. And the local people watching it said, no, that's what we expect of all of our kids. That is who we are in Hawaii. So it is not odd that he is behaving. That's what we expect. And then they went on to say, the only thing about Marcus is, everybody's listening to him. If he could talk more and be more aggressive with the people in the huddle, and we're sitting there, we're going, no, that's not how leadership is. the way he got where he is his leadership and influential way of not necessarily having to talk, but just to show through his natural process. So the point I'm making is that sometimes we just gotta recognize that we gotta keep hoy con pico, you know, we gotta hang on to what our foundational kind of values are and not let the influences of outside change us. And because everybody comes to Hawaii and they say, wow, the people are so wonderful here. And yet, when you talk about what is special about who we are, you know, that sense of relationship, right? The things that you do, Whitney, the things that you do, Maria, the things that all of you folks do in this center that build that relationship, that is what people come to Hawaii and admire. They also talk about the respect, the humility. Yet, when you look within the schools and you look within the structures that we have, we do not build that in there. We don't take the best of who we are in Hawaii and make it part of our infrastructure. And so, kind of coming back to what Marina was talking about. So how do we as people start to hoika people? How do we capture that essence of who we are and make sure, and there are some, and not to say that the system and what comes from abroad is not good. There's so many things to learn. You know, I've traveled all over, and I've worked at the University of Oregon, and I've worked in other places, and there's a lot of good things to do. But when it comes down to some of the things that really are our foundational things that defines how we interact with people and how we interact with our students and with each other. It really is about coming back home. And so I'll leave you with this: that there's a softball team on Hawaii Island, and in baseball and softball. In order for you to win a game, you cannot just hit balls or be good fielders. You actually have to go around the bases and touch home plate and score in order to win the game. So I was talking with one of the coaches, and one of the phrases they have written on their jersey is, it doesn't come until you go home, you know, home base. And so I'll leave you with that, just the whole life idea of hoika piko.
So now we're opening up questions to anybody who's out there, either here in the room or that are watching live on Zoom. Remember to unmute your microphone when you ask your question and then put it back on mute. Thank you. Sachi?
Thank you, Uncle David, for I don't know, that talk just really hits me, like just fills my heart out. Like when you're talking about Marcus Mariotto, you also reminded me of Uncle Dan Akaka with the same leadership style, being humble, and it's really rare, such a rare thing to see, and sadly I think here too, but I think it's something you really personify. When you're faced, when you like get the criticism, I'm sure you face criticism like Nanakaka of being like not aggressive enough, not assertive enough, not playing the game, playing politics enough. What are your strategies for getting through that kind of negativity, I guess, when it comes your way?
Well, I haven't had much negativity because your work is really who you are. And people have had very little criticism about the work I've done over the years. The one criticism I've had was actually from a Hawaiian group in terms of the use of the Hawaiian language, of not using it more. And but without me having to respond another Hawaiian and say, well, until you do the stuff that he's doing, then don't you say anything. So people will fight for you, whether you like it or not. But with the faculty at the university, I was a couple committees. In fact, I was heading up this diversity committee back in the 90s, in trying to diversify the faculty. How can we develop a more broadly based type of faculty that not only in terms of how they look, but the kinds of work that they present that might be more receptive by the audiences that you have. If we're going to recruit more students from the Hawaiian community, the Filipino community, the Pacific, how do we make sure that our curriculum reflects the kinds of future that you want to develop? So as we sat around and people talking, I was just listening, and faculty, for some reason, sometimes they're saying things even if they have nothing to say. I don't understand. And they wanna, I don't know if they wanna hear themselves or they want to have a one-upmanship, but they sometimes will, if you have an issue here, will talk something that's tangential to the issue. And so what I've been brought up to do is, unless you have something to say, you don't say anything. Unless you have something to contribute. So some of the faculty noticed that I was sitting and listening, and they said, "Well, David, you're not talking," and I'm good. I don't see a place that I needed to be in there, but it is an interesting being part of your club or faculty club. You know, it's this bantering between each other that they like, and I don't necessarily play that game, but yeah, it does, but it didn't. Initially, you know, I felt like I was inclined to talk, but then I keep coming back to say, if it's not going to contribute to it, I want to be a solution, not a problem. Sometimes you throw things in there, so. But I haven't had much criticism about the style, because I think people appreciate more of a reflective type of behaviors. I did want to reflect on, Marina, what you were talking about in terms of the conflict and turning it into a positive and then going deeper. And I reflected on Ho'oponopono, because Ho'oponopono, which is a Hawaiian way of resolving conflict, and something I practice in my family, is very much about looking for a positive resolution for it. And you have to have the preconditions before you go into it. Everybody got to make sure that whatever the person who is in charge comes up with in terms of the decision of what's going to happen as a result of the conflict, that every single person has to agree to what that result is, no matter what it is. And so it's set up it's a precondition that really builds upon a success. And so, and pono means right, yeah. So you're making it right. So it's not looking at, you're not calling it a negative, but you're calling it positive. So really, so as you were talking, I said, "Wow, this is great." Yeah.
Any questions out in the audience, in the Zoom audience? No? Thank you, Uncle David. I know.
And so, want to mahalo all of our speakers today, Dr. David Singh, Dr. Marina Piskulich, and Dr. Charles Alexander, for providing such a diverse and I think very authentic conversation with all of us. Before I do a quick wrap up, I do also want to mahalo my entire Western Region Board for all of your support. I want to say thank you for being patient since this was our first. We did have some technical difficulties, but thankfully we worked through them all. Thank you to Sachi, Malia, and Vanessa for helping the coordination, setup, and especially to Kim, because she had the very stressful technology task. So thank you, Kim, for solving all our Zoom issues. I think this was such a great experience. I'm so happy that we were able to meet as a group here in Hawaii and also to reach out to the continent, to all of you. I feel like I learned so much today about Ho'ikopiko, being strong in your center, knowing who you are in times of conflict, and finding that mindset where I may be welcoming conflict as an opportunity for positive change. And then thinking about my staff and learning from Dr. Alexander about ways that he has led innovative health and wellness programs for his staff. And I might talk with my dean about ways to improve wellness for us as a whole, because I do think as a department, we really do strive to promote wellness because we know that's so important for ourselves. We have to care for ourselves before we can care for our students. But I think for the larger institution, that's probably a challenge that I'm ready to face. So unless anyone has anything else, I think we may end, but Sachi, go ahead.
I saw this is being recorded.
Yes.
How can we access?
Yes, so, thank you for reminding me. We're actually going to be sending out a link to a recording of this session to all the attendees, and you're welcome to share with others. We're also going to be sending out evaluations through Google Forms. So we would love to hear your feedback and whether you think this was a good forum and venue for having future webinars. And anything else, Kim? Anything else? Anything else from the Zoom audience? I feel like I could do Oprah Super Soul with this chair. So lovely. And anyway, I just want to thank you all for joining us. And until we meet again, aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha.